I mean, I was seriously considering using GoDaddy for establishing a new website up until I saw that commercial. Think I'm going to look elsewhere now, because not only has their racy stuff kind of flown in the face of traditional values the last few years, this one just kind of goes over the top and just goes into some gross land that I don't understand why you'd want to take it there. Let's hit on some of the other news of the day kind of issues, shall we? According to reports, a New Jersey Catholic high school is catching a lot of heat because it's asked its female students to take a no cursing pledge. But it didn't ask the boys to do the same thing. School officials have said they wanted the ladies to act like ladies, and they were hoping maybe the boys would catch on. The teacher who implemented the change was quoted as saying that it was just a 1-month pledge for February to try to swear less, and many of the girls were very much on board. Bottom line is, the Catholic school wanted the girls to act like ladies. They should have also asked the boys to act like men. And while men will swear, men can convey their messages in a fashion that doesn't require it. Also in the news, Canada will soon be penniless. Not in the poverty-stricken sort of way, but in a more literal sense, because as of tomorrow, Tuesday, February 5th, the Royal Canadian Mint will cease distributing pennies. After more than 150 years in production, the last Canadian penny was minted back in May of 2012. According to the Canadian Mint, removing the penny from circulation will save taxpayers there an estimated $11 million each year, as the coin cost 1.6 cents to manufacture, but of course has a worth of only 1 cent. Paradoxically, though, the coin's diminishing supply has already increased its value, at least among the penny-pinching collectors and artists seeking to preserve a piece of history. Translation, it's become a highly collectible coin. Massachusetts state Republicans would like a Romney to run for Senate. No, not Mitt. They want Mitt's wife, Ann. They're currently looking for a candidate to run for the unoccupied U.S. Senate seat, formerly held by the new Secretary of State, John Kerry. Also today, Senator John McCain is drawing a lot of criticism from members of his own parties as much as anyone else. He made a joking comparison between the Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad to a monkey. At any rate, he tweeted out after Ahmadinejad told the state media in Iran that he was ready to be sacrificed by the scientists of my country and go into space, noting that the country plans to send an Iranian astronaut to space within 6 years. Now, the quote that was tweeted out was, "So, Ahmadinejad wants to be the first Iranian in space. Wasn't he just there last week?" Okay, now, Iran launched a monkey into space last week. Was John McCain saying that all Iranian Arabs are monkeys? Or was he saying that Mahmoud himself tends to act like a big old goofy monkey? You know, you got to kind of decide that for himself. Was it a joke? It sounds like a joke. Not that John McCain has the greatest of sense of humor in public, but privately I'm told that he does indeed have a very good sense of humor. Maybe something was just lost in translation here. Maybe it sounded funnier in his head than before he wrote it. But my real question here is, why is anybody in our Senate wasting time complaining that John McCain made this tweet? And in essence, why are they taking up for Ahmadinejad? Excuse me. I am on the mend. I am not 100%. Unions who fought so very hard for Obamacare are now complaining about the costs and now want, much the same as they did before, and was told no when the law was being written, they want the American taxpayers to help pay for their insurance premiums. Now, these union employees have so much more of their stuff paid for by the companies already. It makes me wonder where they get off asking the taxpayers to come back. But at some point, you think they're going to realize, hey, as long as you guys actually still have a job, you're taxpayers too. So basically, you're asking for the government to take some of your money that could be used somewhere and turn around and use it for that. So why not pay for some of this yourselves, guys? But, while we're on the topic, and I've mentioned this before at least 100 times, has anybody seen their insurance premiums go down? That was one of the promises of the Affordable Care Act, after all. But of course you haven't. Because this whole thing was just a plan to push everybody into a single-payer system to be run by the government. Everybody says, no, that's not what this was about. But let me ask you this. If you don't put any kind of guidelines on the maximum amount that an insurance company can charge you for a policy, and then you say, but the insurance company has to cover this, and it has to cover this, and it has to cover this, and it has to take pre-existing conditions, and there's no way to get a policy that doesn't include mental health. There's no way to get a policy that doesn't include everything under God's green earth, everything on the earth. Then these insurance companies have to charge a tremendous amount of money in order to do the one thing no company's ever supposed to do, make a profit. Flip side. Now, let's say that your new private insurance policy costs $1,500 a month. But wait, lo and behold, the government offers you the exact same policy for $500 a month. Why? The government has no motive to make a profit. Their motive is to take control, but they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you the scariest words you'll ever hear from a government employee: I'm from the government and I'm here to help. They're going to tell you they're just trying to help. Never mind somebody else who has to be robbed and some other program that has to be raided in order to cover the actual cost of providing you these services. What happens? Well, any reasonable person and any reasonable business is going to say, you know what? We just can't afford to pay $1,500 a month when we can get the same thing for $500 a month. Don't tell me that's not the plan. Quick question, just food for thought. Been wondering this out loud. Now that the new official policy of having women on the front lines in combat roles, even though they've already been there for practical purposes for a while, I understand that. And I'm not questioning their capabilities, make no mistake, but with the new policy officially being recognized, are they also going to start requiring women to register with Selective Service? I mean, we've tied so many of our citizen benefits for men to, once you turn 18, you sign up for Selective Service. I mean, currently we don't have the draft, so it's not an issue. But these are dangerous times we're living in, and the draft certainly could be reinstituted. Could we see, since they're officially equal now in the military, a move to have women register for the Selective Service? And then some point down the road, we may have to be concerned about the draft being reinstituted? And I don't know. I'm just asking. That thought popped into my head, and I'm curious. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. Like I said, a lot of things have went on, and I'm just trying to get some of the topics that I didn't get a chance to talk about before. Hang on through the commercial break, and we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tap Into the Truth. Thanks for listening. Let's just get right back into things again. Left with the question of, will women be required to sign up? Let's change gears again. As most of you know by now, Obama's Jobs Council has been disbanded after just 4 official meetings over the course of just 2 years. Officially, unemployment is just under 8%, but the real unemployment, when you actually add back in the people who are no longer counted because they've been unemployed for so long, even though some of them are still looking for work, they're just no longer eligible for benefits. The real unemployment is over 10%. But what's the real reason the Job Council was disbanded? Well, they said all along that it was only intended to be around for 2 years anyway. And he was just so busy, they didn't have time to meet more than the 4 times. But, quite honestly, I don't think that the occupier liked what they had to tell him. I mean, make no mistake about it. In the first place, the group was never anything more than a PR move in a desperate attempt going into an election cycle to look like he was working to improve things, while he actually continued to work behind the scenes to continue crushing our economy. He got great advice like, approve the Keystone Pipeline. Nah, I can't do that. Got great advice like, don't raise taxes during a recession or a contraction. Nah, didn't like that. In fact, the man is still out here saying he needs more revenue. Why? Because he's not done spending the American money. And on the topic of needing more money, there is a source, ladies and gentlemen, that some of you may be lucky enough to be partaking in. If you are, pay close attention to this. If you're not lucky enough to have a retirement account, I say lucky enough, but the truth of the matter is, it's a matter of fiscal responsibility and fiscal discipline. You can be bringing home $250 a week, and you could still find a way to make contributions to a retirement plan if you were so inclined. And I would recommend that you find a way to do that, or at least I would have. But here's the deal. For years now, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Neil Bortz, and others I can't think of the name right off the top of my head, have been warning that a Venezuelan-style grab of your retirement accounts was on the way. Well, for more than a week now, certain voices on the left, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, for example, have been saying that retirement accounts of American citizens have more than enough money in them to have a major impact on the economic issues the government now face. Well, of course there's more than enough money there in your retirement accounts, but you think it's safe from the government, right? You think that a government cash grab isn't going to happen in your retirement. Some of you are in a Roth IRA specifically to lessen your tax burden. It's your money, right? The money you have put away in order to have something to live on once you hang up your working hat. Well, if you think it's safe, just keep this in mind.